and I cut my hair like super, super short, like Dora. And I'm Mexican at the lab, of course, Mexican, short, little girl, spicy, with short hair. One of my teammates was like, "Hey, you look like Dora." And he said, "No, I'm gonna call you Dora the Destroyer because I'm like, I guess like fighting and stuff."
Christopher De Santiago of MMA Islander, fighting out of the MMA Lab in Phoenix, Arizona, writing a three-fight win streak. We have on Dora the Destroyer, Leslie Hernandez, who's coming off of a victory at LFA 176. Leslie, how's it going today?
It's been great. It's been great. Thank you for having me in today.
Of course, of course. You got the buzzer beater knockout, by ground and pound. How good did that feel to get that win in Phoenix?
Oh man, it was amazing. I fought in Phoenix back in November. The fight went full decision to a split decision. It was a tough fight. So getting this finish back at home, it felt great having my family, my friends, and finishing my contract with LFA was like perfect.
So does this mean that you're gonna explore like some other options, like other organizations, or do you think you might re-sign with LFA?
I already resigned with them again.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I feel great. I feel like they are the best promotion for me to get where I want to be, which is the UFC. So they're really good people, very professional. Never had an issue with them, so I'm happy with them.
You fought in Phoenix in November, but did this victory feel like a little bit more special with you getting the knockout?
Yes, so my fight in November, um I had a shoulder surgery in March of last year. So I was coming back from a surgery and it was a hard fight. It was a hard camp, a little nervous because of my shoulder. I'm like, okay, it's my fight. And I was only what 8 months post surgery, which is insane for some people. They're like, there's no way you're fighting at 8 months. And I was like, yes, there is a way. I don't know. I'm doing it. And but everything came out great. It was a hard fight, like I said. My shoulder felt great during that fight. So they gave me like a lot of confidence getting back into it to another fight.
Were you kind of surprised with the toughness of Brittany Camozzi because that girl would not go away?
No, I knew she was gonna be tough. I I knew she was gonna be tough, but I knew that as soon as this happens a lot in my fights, as soon as the girls start feeling like my powers of my kicks, of my punches, um, they start showing. They start backing up. So that's what happened here. That's what happened in my last fight, which I ended up wrestling most of the fight because I'm pretty sure the girl, as soon as I started hitting her, she's like, "Nope, I don't want this. I want to go to the floor." So yeah.
Mm. What did you think about the stoppage and like in that moment? Is it kind of hard to let off the gas pedal a little bit? You could conserve your energy for the next round, or you could choose to go for the finish. So why did you choose to go for the finish in that instance?
So, when I know I'm in great shape, I train with one of the best like strength conditioning coaches at the MMA Lab, Jarrett, and I knew that even if the ref of the round would have finished and I would have gone to the next round, I was gonna come out fresh again. I was gonna feel good, and I knew that if she was coming out in the next round, she was gonna know, and I knew she was gonna come and try to wrestle me, but I'm just ready. I'm ready. That's why we trained so hard at the gym. I had tough sparring rounds with all the boys, hard wrestling days, preparing myself for this for any fight. I look at it like for the future fights. Like these fights, they're building me for the future. So um and then like I said, if the round would have not been stopped, would have came out in the next round probably 100% more stronger than that first round. Um, I did hear her corner. I think I was in her corner when I was ground and pounding her, and I heard her. One of the coaches was like 20 seconds, And I was like, oh shit, 20 seconds. Okay, let's go. Okay, let's go, let's go. And I was like, let me just give it my all. Like, all I can remember in that moment were some bike sprints I've been doing during strength conditioning. I'm like, okay, it's just another sprint. It's just another sprint. Let's go. And yeah, I was in shock because the referee was like, hey, you have to fight back to Brittany. Like, you gotta fight back. And as soon as you don't respond, they're gonna stop it, you know?
And what made you choose the MMA Lab? Over there in Phoenix, there's a lot of good gyms over there, but why MMA Lab?
So I've been at the lab now since 2016. This was before I even did MMA. I was just boxing, and I had a friend that was like, hey, you should try out this gym if you want to do MMA later on, because that was always my idea to that I want to do MMA as soon as I stopped boxing. And I was like, okay, I'll try it out. And the first day I stepped in that gym, it was just like a family. John Crouch, our main coach, is such a great guy. He's like a second dad to me. That's how I see him. Since the first day, always been so sweet to me. Always care for me. It's hard finding a gym where people really care for you. You know, not just care about your fights and where you're gonna go and money and all this. Like, this gym is really like a family gym. And like I said, John Crouch, the other coaches, they really care for their people before like fighting and all that. So
So your background's in boxing. Is that what kind of got you started into combat sports?
I started Tae Kwon Do when I was 8. That's like but I always say boxing because Tae Kwon Do, I did it from like 8 years old to 12, 12, 13. I did around like 300 competitions in that, but I was a kid. Um, and I always took it serious, but it's more like you're having fun, you know? When I got into boxing, that's when I was like, okay, it started like feeling more serious. Like, okay, like I really want to do this as I get older. And I did boxing from 13. I fought boxing from 13 to like 18. I think 18, 19 was like my last boxing fight, and then transferred to MMA.
Did you consider pursuing a boxing career rather than MMA?
So my goal for boxing was always I wanted to make the Olympic team or make the Olympics back in for 2020 Olympics. And I made the national team. So I'm not a US citizen, so I had to go to Mexico to fight. I couldn't fight for US because you need a citizenship and all that. So I went to Mexico 2, 3 years. I fought there. I won nationals. I joined the Mexican team. I actually trained at the Olympic Training Center for like 3, 4 months. And then this was before COVID happened. Before COVID happened, my visa to go out there expired. So I was working on that. And then COVID happened. So they canceled the Olympics. And then I'm like, I really want to go to Olympics, but now I'm like, okay, time is running out now, and like I have to wait for 2021, and that's if I'm able to go to Mexico again, and if I'm not, like it was just like too much back and forth. So I was like, you know what? Let's just call it there, and let's just move on to MMA. Like let's just, because I actually did my MMA debut in 2018 while I was still fighting boxing, but it was kind of like I would go to the MMA gym 2, 3 times a week, kind of like half assing, you know? And I don't like that. I don't like if I'm gonna do something, I want to do it fully. So that's when I was like, okay, let me just go to MMA. And I still box. I don't fight boxing no more, but that's my, I feel like boxing is what's gonna get me to where I want to be for sure.
Would you ever take a boxing fight again?
Yes, I actually do want to do professional boxing later on in the future.
So, man, do you have like any heroes in the boxing world? I mean, I know Amanda Serrano. She's repping for Puerto Rico. You have Amanda Serrano. Other fighters like that. So, was there any inspirations that you had growing up?
Um, Women's boxing, when I was growing up, it was really bad. There was like nobody would watch women's boxing. Now it's grown so much like in the last 2, 3 years. So um there's a lot of good girls out there like Amanda Serrano, there's Denise Estrada, there's
Clarissa Shields.
Clarissa Shields. There's a couple good girls up there that are like uh really putting boxing, like Hi, Katie Taylor, all those girls. So that's that motivates me a little bit to try a boxing fight later on.
Awesome, awesome. And I wanted to talk to you more about like outside of the fight game. I saw that you have your own sneaker business. I believe it's called Pick and Roll Kicks. Can you talk to me more about that?
Yeah, so we actually became my husband and I became business owners in 2021, right after COVID. Right after COVID, I lost my job, he lost his job, and he had like two jobs, server, I was a server, and he also trained people at a gym. That gym it closed because of COVID and all that. So we lost our jobs. And we were like, hey, like what if we just right here in the neighborhood, right where we live, we're like we saw a building, like what if we just like open up our business? And at that time we were selling shoes like online, or we go to drive into shows and stuff. um and we found a spot and we're like we should just open it. And literally we that's how we happened. And we were like, okay, let's do it. We called and then the people were like, yeah, like it was right after COVID, so everything was like kind of like people were trying to like rent their spaces and stuff. So everything went smooth. We opened up in April of 2021. Half sneaker store and half boxing gym in a small building. Small building.
Very cool.
We last, yeah, we actually last. The boxing gym is still there till date. The shoe store we closed 8 months in that location just because the boxing gym grew too much people. We couldn't fit in no more, and we closed down for like 6 months. And we were like, oh, if we open again, cool. If not, like let's keep doing online and all that. And we found a spot down the street later on. 8 months later, we opened the shoe store. And so now we have the shoe store and the boxing gym down the street from each other, and they've been great since then.
The pandemic was a hard time for a lot of people. What did you learn about yourself in that time, in that struggling time?
Man, that pandemic, like it was crazy times. It's like that's what that's when I was like, man, like fighting. Like I really love fighting. We couldn't do anything. Like what? And I really love fighting. Then I'm like, I need to figure out what to do in case, like, in situations like this that we can't fight, that we can't make money. Like, what else can we do? And I started learning about shoes and stuff because I was in the shoe game, but not really. And I feel like during COVID was when I like actually started like paying attention to the shoe market, how we sell this, opening a business and all this. So like probably just learned how to be a business owner. That's what I focused on during COVID mostly because I couldn't do anything else. Like no training. There was no point to train at that moment. We were training at the park. I'm like in front of my house because our all the gyms were closed. So wild times.
Mm. How difficult has it been to kind of balance, having your businesses as well as fighting and training? Like, how hard has that been for you?
It's been really, really, really hard. It's been very stressful sometimes. Um, it's only my husband and I running the shoe store. We have another guy that's helping us out at the shoe store like 2 3 days. And he comes in clutch low key every time I gotta go fight, every time I gotta travel for anything. I got sparring, I camps. He'll be like, oh, I'll open from this time, and then sometimes we have to close. I don't know where. It's very stressful. And then in the gym we have 4 trainers now that are one of them, two of them. One of the girls, she fights with me at the lab, and then another boy, he trains boxing. He also a fighter, so we all just help out each other. We made our gym like a family gym, just like kind of like the lab, but it's just like smaller. So we all help each other out. It's
Awesome.
been 3 years now, and it's been working out fine. So
Awesome. That's good to hear. And, what are some of your dreams and aspirations for, fighting this year in 2024? Like, what are some of your goals?
so be as active as I can. Like I said, I took a couple months off because of surgery, it kind of I fought in November of 2022, and then I had surgery March 2023, and I didn't fight last year until November. So I just want to stay active after my last fight, not this one that just happened, but the one in November. I was like, okay, I got to get back into fighting right away. So then I booked that fight for that happened this week. And now I'm looking again April or May. I want to do at least 4 fights this year. And I really, 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 really want to fight for the LFA title this year, if that's
Ooh,
possible. Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah, like I'm putting that in the air. I really want that. I want to fight for that title this year.
Do you feel like the LFA championship could be your last stop before you get the UFC call or maybe Contender Series?
Yes, that's how I see it. That's how I see it.
So, what would it mean for you to, for you to persevere and to get through everything that you went through to finally getting to the UFC? What would that mean to you?
Oh man, that's one of my biggest dreams since I started this MMA journey. I remember the first time that I talked to somebody about doing MMA, I was like, I want to. This was when Ronda Rousey was fighting the UFC. I was like, I want to be there. I want to fight like these girls are doing there. So I know the day that I make it, because I am gonna make it to the UFC, it's gonna be insane. But yeah, I can't wait. I can't even imagine how like that feeling is. Like I see my teammates. I have at the lab we have a lot of teammates there in the UFC, and I see them struggle every day with jobs and like work and training, and then they get that call and they go and it's just crazy to see how their life change from one day to another. So yeah, man, I can't wait for that moment.
Hmm. What are some of your like I guess dreams of like fighting in the UFC? Like, where would you like to fight? And I know they're heading to Mexico City later this month. About where would you like to fight? Should you go to the UFC?
Definitely Mexico. I definitely want to fight in front of my people. By that time, I will have be able to travel out of the country and go anywhere I want. So yeah, definitely fighting in Mexico City. That would be a dream come true. That would be crazy. Mexico, anywhere. I really want to travel everywhere. When it comes to fighting, I want to go. The U.S. is cool and everything, but I really want to fight different countries for sure.
Hmm. Do you have a lot of family in Mexico?
Yeah, most of my family, my grandparents, my uncles, they're all in Mexico. My dad is here. My dad, my stepmom, and my siblings are here, and some of my uncles. But I have a huge, huge family, so there's a bunch in Mexico still.
Awesome. Yeah, my parents are both Mexican. Yeah, I was born here, but they're from Chihuahua.
Oh,
But do
that's
you feel?
cool.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, for
cool.
sure. Do you feel like Mexicans fight with a different kind of hunger?
Yeah, yeah. We go through a lot, like I said, like I see my parents. My parents went through a lot to get me where I'm at right now. So I owe it all to them, all to my dad. Like, man, I remember when we first came to the US, like lived in the little apartments. We had sometimes we had stuff to eat, sometimes we didn't, and like the amount of money, time that he put into like when we were competing in Taekwondo and boxing, like man, I'm gonna buy him a house one day. I swear, because it's crazy. Like I think about that all the time. Like one day I'm gonna buy him a house. I'm gonna be like, thank you, Dad. Like everything that you did, like it's paying off.
Yeah, that's a dream right there. Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, and one last question for you. I wanted to ask about your nickname. It's one of the most interesting I've seen, Dora the Destroyer. Can you tell me how that nickname came about?
Okay, yeah, I was waiting for this question because nobody has that. You're the first person to ask.
Yes,
So
let's
I've
go.
had this nickname. I used it on this fight and my last fight. So I just started using it, but I got this nickname back in 2020. During COVID, I went crazy and I cut my hair like super, super short, like Dora. And I'm Mexican at the lab, of course, Mexican, short, little girl, spicy with short hair. One of my teammates was like, "Hey, you look like Dora." And he's like, dude, I'm gonna call you Dora the Destroyer because I'm like, I guess like fighting and stuff. So they just started calling me that out of nowhere. So it was one of my teammates, Trace, and everybody just started calling me that and Crouch and every. That's what they call me now. So I'm like, okay, I might start using it. And so people actually like it. They're like, what? How? I'm like, I don't know. My teammates started.
I mean, it sticks. I mean, it has a nice ring to it, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I know it's different for sure. My hair now is long, but thinking about cutting it again just so it could fit my nickname, but we'll see.
Sounds good, sounds good. Well, Leslie, I think that's all the questions I had for you. I just wanna thank you again for the time. Is there anything that you wanna say to the fans out there watching?
Oh, thank you, Chris. No, I'm just like thankful for every like the support that I've gotten. This last fight was my first fight on a main card on UFC Fight Pass, and I've got so much love. Like from people like you that found me. Like this is probably my second interview ever that I've had. So it's just cool, you know, like that I'm starting to get there. I have like two more interviews this week and I'm like, holy shit, like this is cool,
Very
man. This
cool.
is cool. Yeah. So like I'm so excited and just thankful for everyone and everything that is going on in my life right now. So
Awesome. Well, I'm happy for you, Leslie. I hope you enjoy the UFC fights this weekend, okay?
oh man, I will. Can't wait.